Welcome to the Old Guys No Shit podcast in Dealercast Studios, where we bring together decades of automotive knowledge, all together in one place. Here's your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit.
Hey, what's going on, DC Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and I have
Rob Mudd,
Larry Bruce.
And this is the Dealercast podcast, Old Guys That Know Shit. I never get tired of saying this, by the way.
I'm just happy I'm one of those old guys that you think know shit.
No doubt.
Guys, this has been so much fun. I'm just so glad we're back in the studio and we're able to do this. This is really, really cool. Great topic today, right? Building a stellar customer experience. Look, we've watched that customer experience over the years. I know you guys have seen it over the years, kind of evolve and then sometimes devolve and then evolve again. So let's just kind of start there. I want to get both of you guys' kind of thoughts on just the current state of the customer experience, and then we'll get into where do we think it needs to go to continue to improve.
The customer experience today. I don't know. I don't want to make a blanket statement, but the experience starts with the first engagement, and the first engagement today seems to be on the web, right? Mm-hmm. And so whatever they engage on the web or at your website, and they migrate hopefully to a phone call or a form fill, or more importantly, a showroom up. Once they get there, you have to have the payoff. They have to understand. They have to feel like what they saw and why they came down here is what they expected, right? And if they don't get that, which is difficult to do because you never know what someone's expecting, right? So you got to set it up. Set up what you think the experience is. Find the need, fill the need, and they'll probably have a good experience.
So is it safe to say that it's not enough that we just meet the expectation? We now have to exceed the expectation. Is that where you kind of see?
You might exceed the expectation by just doing what they expect.
Right, exactly. I was going to say the exact same thing. Just meeting the expectation might be the exceeding it.
Right?
No question.
The whole world today is about convenience. Amazon taught us that, right?
Yes.
If I can't get it within 15 seconds, I'm pissed. If I can't see the answer on my phone and I have to search my patience level for time has ran out. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a 24-hour clock always. One of the things that I was fortunate to go overseas in the car space, and it was in Asia and China and Asia all together, right? The time in Asia is aspirational, right? Mm-hmm. It's horizontal. It's horizon. It's always what's going to happen. It's a long ways, right? It's what I see. In the United States or in the West, it's a 24-hour clock. What can I punch out in 24 hours?
No doubt.
So just the understanding of time is different. And so everything has to be of convenience and not of mastering your craft. It's how fast can I get it done?
How fast can get it done? Larry, do you kind of feel the same way?
Well, I mean, time has always been the factor.
Yeah.
No matter what it was, time has always been the factor. But I don't believe time in and of itself is the only thing, right? Because it's not just about the time. It's also how do we use that time? Mm-hmm. And do I feel like you gave me what I needed or what I felt I wanted when I used that time or spent that time with you? And so I always see, the idea of time is we're going to shortcut everything. And then we'll have made you happy. Well, no, you actually made it worse because you shortcut everything. And I don't know how my vehicle works. I don't know anything about a delivery for me back in the 80s was sit down in the car. I set your clock radio. I set your time. I showed you how to set up all the preset buttons. I showed you where I did the delivery. Today they have just like we've got now BDCs that handle the call and the lead, and then we sell the car, and then we drop it off to another guy who shows the guy about the car. I mean, and I like, what is the salesperson supposed to be good at? Just closing the deal and get a check?
What you just described, though, is margin constriction, right?
Yeah.
Because I've added all this headcount or expense to do what we used to do in the old days.
Yeah.
I don't really like saying the old days. What we used to do in the business before time got sped up. And
Right.
it got sped up with our devices, right?
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm with you. I think time is definitely an element in a part of that experience, and I think for anybody to execute a good experience, understand that time is a perception.
Yeah.
Right. So, I may perceive a good experience to be a 3-hour experience. I may perceive a good experience to be a 30-minute experience. So it is unique. I think
My wife would love a
unique.
3-hour dinner. She would love that experience.
See-
I like a 15-minute dinner. I like that experience.
I'm with you on that. Like there are times that I just want to kind of like just get me in, get me out, and there are times, yes, I do kind of like let me go through and really just kind of have this more long drawn out. So you're right. Time is definitely a big one of it. Where I see the experience is breaking down is the fact that we're not willing to kind of meet where the customer wants to be met, and that's where I kind of think where we have to transition. If we're going to be building a stellar customer experience, I need to meet them where they want to be. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to accomplish things I need to accomplish as a business to ultimately sell you something, but I do need to meet you where just kind of you are, and eventually. Because to you guys, and you guys brought this up before too, right? Here's what we have right now: is we have a series of starts and stops, right? Mm-hmm. So I go online, I start, and then I come in, I stop, and I have to repeat myself all over again to somebody else. Didn't I just do this online? What the hell, right? And then I kind of go through this. I'm going to start it up again. We're going to go for the test drive. I'm going to stop because now I got to go through this whole negotiation, and then I got to go through the box, and then I'm going to stop, and then it's not a linear. Kind of motion.
No, it's not. And the funnel, I think, has been the perpetrator of that false. I hate that word, narrative. The false idea that people start at the top and they have to make their way to the bottom. If I get in a car accident, I'm in the bottom right now.
Yeah.
And so,
I need a vehicle tomorrow.
Right. And so that marketing funnel, I think, is blown way out of proportion. But what they're defining is the tiers of advertising. We used to talk about that. Tier 1 is OEM, that's brand. Tier 2 is association work, and that might be a special on some product, right? Same make model. And then retail is tier 3.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got, but here's the one thing that's in common. The customer supposedly touches all 3 of those tiers.
At some point, they just may do it faster and slower than others.
Right.
Or they may not touch it at all.
Or they may not touch it at all. So I don't like the funnel because no one ever knows where someone is until they meet and know where they are.
Yeah,
The funnel is not a funnel. The funnel is the shape of a funnel, but you know what it is? It's a tornado.
That's true.
Because you're
I feel like
entering,
that.
you're entering at various spots of this tornado, and you're getting spun around because I need you to start up here. You're messing up my funnel. Don't mess with my funnel.
But in order to be effective for the dealer, you have to know what part you play in that funnel.
Yeah.
The top of the funnel was the brand guys, the OEM,
Right.
The tier 3 money.
Make
is
me want to buy a
today.
GM, right? Make me want to buy a GM product.
And where then are you going to buy it from? That's tier 3.
That's
right?
tier 3. Yes.
Agencies need to focus on the tier 3 message. The tier 3.
No, they don't
purpose.
want to focus on the
They don't
tier
want
3
to,
message.
right? Because they don't understand it. They want
No,
to be
it's
at
not that
tier
they
1.
don't even understand it.
There's
They don't see the money in the tier 3. It's easier to go convince the group to get the big money and then squeeze the cost or squeeze my service level to the point where I'm making big money off of a lot of stores than selling each individual store one at a time.
Yeah.
This is I got into this whole conversation back in the day about when I talked to my first VC guy, the very first VC guy that I ever talked to. It's like, you got to figure out a way to sell. You can't scale selling one at a time. He's not wrong. But that's the ad agency's mindset. I'm not going to go one dealer at a time. I'm going to go straight to the association or straight to the OEM, get the big money, because I only have to sell one guy or convince one guy.
So that may be. Now our business has always been at the tier 3 level.
Yeah,
So
my always says too. Yeah.
my dad taught us, hey, we're only as good as the dealers we work with, right? And that's one at a time.
Yes.
And you got to get out there and you have to understand, you got to meet the person, you got to understand their needs, right?
Right.
And then you have to understand their market and you got to understand how they do business and help them create and generate people that want to buy cars. That's not what Tier 1 does.
No,
At all.
They're talking to a very large audience
Absolutely.
about General Motors.
Yes.
In
yes.
general, right?
They don't care who they buy the General Motors car from.
Right, that doesn't care.
They don't care at all. They just want market share.
And,
so,
and none of that messaging has any type of that experience in it. I love the fact you brought up people. You know, I love finding rabbit holes. So I'll find a rabbit hole and I'll go down that rabbit hole because when I really think of, and I think anybody out there watching, listening right now, I mean, if you think of some of the best experiences you ever had, all right, it was usually around three things. I find it breaks down into three things, all right? It was people, a process, or a technology, or a combination of those that really felt put together, created a unique experience, right?
So you got people, product, promotion. So you've got the people, which are the buyers. You have the product, which is the car, and the promotion today is the technology.
The offer. Well, the offer.
it is.
But it's the offer. But the
But it should be
technology.
the offer.
But it should be the offer. But they think if I just put it on Google, I'm going to win. If I just put it on Facebook, I'm going to win. If I stick my cars over here on Cars.com, I'm going to win. Or I'm going to stick my cars on Auto Trader, and I'm going to win. You know, and so you've left. Now you've completely turned over
Everything.
The keys to the keys to getting customers to Auto Trader,
who doesn't exist if you don't give them your inventory.
Right, and they don't give a rat's ass whether you sell a car.
No, at all.
Well, but they have all defined experiences in themselves, right? Like, I mean, I do believe that there is a place for, for these market, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having a blank right now.
Third party lead.
Third party. Well, yeah, it's just these for these used car marketplaces, right? But it's a different experience, right? Because it's to your point, it's more of like a technology experience.
Yes, totally.
There's no people, there's no process element to it, right? But to really, I think, execute effectively, I mean, think of like some of okay, so I'll give you guys a quick example of just an amazing experience I had. And it was a tiny little thing, but I find the best experiences usually are little things. They're never really big monster things, right? They're usually little things. So
little unexpected things.
yeah,
Things
that you
they're
remember.
gonna happen.
100%. That you remember. So I'm staying at a Trump Tower, okay, and this was years ago, right? And we're like, okay, we're going to
That's
go
okay. You
downtown.
could have done it just last week.
Oh, that's fine. I don't really
Yeah,
care.
it doesn't
But I'm saying it was an amazing experience, and what really made it this amazing experience is this very unique. Is like, as I was like, booking my room and stuff like that, and they're like, "Are you going to be, parking your vehicle here?" I was like, "Yes." Well, they asked me for the license plate number. I was like, "Well, that's a first." In fact, I didn't think I knew my license. I had to go outside and look for the license plate number. So, didn't think anything. Booked it. A couple of weeks go by. So me and my wife, we go there, pulling into the valet. Right, opens the door. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Harris. Did I have a tag on? Was there my name somewhere, right? And I'm not kidding you. So walk out of the car, they grab our bags, we walk inside, first person, welcome to the hotel, Mr. and Mrs. Harris. I'm like, what is going on right now, right? And I'm like, by the time I get to the front, hey, Mr. Harris, how are you? Hey, we got your room ready. I'm like, how is this? So I had to really watch it play out. And what it was a combination of people, process, and technology.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
So by me giving up my plate to them, they had some type of technology that was reading it when I pulled up that told the valet my name, right? And they had to obviously create a process around those people to execute it. Then I watched this play out for somebody else. I saw valet radio in to the front, letting them know who was walking through the door at that given moment. Holy crap, guys.
Trump knows that what makes people feel good is people recognizing people by their name.
Being felt known
Yes.
Right.
is a magical experience,
Absolutely.
right?
100%.
And I like this. So this is how it played out for me. I'd love to kind of get, if you guys experience something like this, how do you think we can, how would this play out at a dealership? I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on this.
Getting to know your customer is the only way it can play out, right?
Well, but the technology behind it.
yeah, you got the technology. How many of us have go to a restaurant that we like to go to all the time because why? They know you.
Yeah.
It's
Cheers.
Someone, but go to a place
Everybody
where it
knows
knows
your
your name,
name.
right?
Right.
We're social beings. That's humanity.
Right.
Technology is dividing the humanity. It divides it. It separates it.
I wouldn't say the technology's doing it. I would say the people that are building the
building
technology,
correct.
they're
Yes,
building
yes,
it,
yes.
and they're building it with the purpose of separating
yes,
that, because they want to eliminate the salesperson, because they think the salesperson is the problem.
Yes,
and they're not.
And they're not. They are the process.
Yes.
At the end of the day,
Exactly.
they are what make closes the loop.
Yes.
The desanitization, if that's the right word, of interacting with people, or the skill set of interacting with people, has been lost. I
Yes,
believe,
100%.
right? The days of the Zigglers going in and training, right? You've told many stories of when.
Oh, dear
right?
God.
Well, one was that it makes the salespeople feel good because they got a pro sitting in front of them teaching them
Yeah.
the ways of the industry.
Most of them. I mean, the
most of
Ziegler's had some interesting stories about the guys that push back.
But the only way to be a master of your craft is to study, execute, learn, and rewind, right? And do it.
Right, but
over again.
none of the salespeople want to master the craft because they don't want to be a salesperson.
Well, do they not want to, or were they not trained to? That's
Well,
going to be my
I
question.
think they don't. I think they don't want to. I think they don't longer even see it as a step to the next thing.
Do you not think sales guys see the car industry as a career?
No, oh God, no.
Yeah, of course.
Most of them. I mean, I'm not going to be. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't either. When I got in it, I came to love it, and so I stayed. And I came to love it because But for me, I was in control, right? Yep. And I hate not being in control. Many people can tell you that. I hate that.
I love
right?
how we all have different personalities on this podcast.
Yes. And so I felt that's the way I felt about it. Now, but the kids, they get the ones we're bringing in today. They're looking for that fast track career, right?
Yep.
Where they get into management. So somehow magically, I'm a manager now.
What in the days gone by, you would take the greatest sales guy, then make him a manager, and he was a shitty manager. And
Yeah.
he lost a great sales guy.
We watched that play out many, many times.
Oh yeah, because I mean, a good salesperson is usually very selfish, and that's fine. That's good for them.
Right?
If they're usually not super organized, right?
No.
They're also very, very, very much, they're not good teachers. They're not going to teach a process. They're just going to assume I knew it, you know it.
You learn by osmosis.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. I had to learn by osmosis. Get your ass in gear.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not good good salespeople never make good managers. Almost never.
And
so it sounds like to me, and I love where we're going with this.
Yeah, but we're down a rabbit hole. We're
No, but it's a
yeah.
problem because look, the objective of today's show is to really talk about building a stellar customer experience.
Right.
And what I'm hearing from both of you guys is that experience really starts with those people.
Always.
Right. So
because they interact with the customer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like as a dealer, if I'm not investing into those people's training or development or coaching, there's no way I'm going to be able to execute some level of consistent experience. Would you guys say that's correct?
absolutely.
When you become us, old guys that know things, we had to have an experience to be the old guy that knows things, right?
Yeah.
And that is lost.
It's being lost even more and more. I mean,
there's no
it's
balance.
disappearing from the entire industry. It's sad to watch.
It is. And so I revert back to that example of the East versus West, right? The Eastern philosophy is the older you get, the more wise you become. In the U.S., the younger you are, the smarter you are. The older you are, the dumber you are.
Oh God,
right?
yeah. I'm
living to become dumb.
Yeah, I literally had, and I'm talking about like within the last couple of months, I literally had a private equity guy look at me and say, "You're too old to be a startup founder." What?
You know the percentages of startup founders of the age of 60 and above is a higher percentage
Than the younger guys, right?
Absolutely.
But that's just the mindset of these knuckleheads that put money into businesses that they don't know anything about, and it's a complete gamble for them,
100%.
right?
100%.
They're just going to put let's go ahead and put $500 million on number 12.
Look,
They're at the roulette table, man.
And sometimes it hits,
Sometimes
but
it's
very rare.
I hear where you guys are going. It really does kind of start with the people. Now, one of the things I find that makes it breaks an experience. We were talking a little bit about this earlier too. So it's never like one big thing. It's usually a series of little things
yes.
that really do kind of make that. That little thing of them knowing my name before I showed up.
Yeah.
Like wow. Like it's just what an everlasting thing. And I've had the opportunity to audit hundreds, if not thousands, of Google reviews, and I find the same pattern there as well, right? It wasn't like one big thing that just made this buying experience that was amazing. It was usually it was something little that they executed, or the person did, or person said, or they had a Hot Wheels for my kid when I came in to to shop, so they were kind of preoccupied doing some fun stuff. But it's just like, here's where I want to go because I'm curious for you guys: transparency. Right? Like I hear this word get used a lot, and it gets thrown around, and I'm just not sure right now we're using it correctly. And I want to get your guys' kind of thoughts of like, how does transparency play out in building a better customer experience?
So transparency is an interesting word because transparency also takes away responsibility, right? If I'm transparent, you didn't pick up on it, it's not my fault. You didn't do it. You didn't. Am I making sense?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, I can see where you're going with that because I mean, if I can keep it vague, then or if I can keep it transparent and they don't buy, then it wasn't my problem. I did it. I did it transparently.
I told them everything I was supposed to do. Yeah. So I went by the book.
I followed the steps. I mean, it's like the guys. I love the guys that say, "Well, I did my best." Well, what was the outcome? Well, we didn't quite make it. We didn't make our number. Well, then it doesn't matter. I don't care how much effort you put into it. Where did we end up? The effort is not the point. I mean, too many times. Everyone for every business is being taught that the effort is the thing, and the effort ain't the thing. The thing is, where did you end, right? Yeah. And we're teaching our kids, well, if you did your best, son, that's just great. No, you either won or you didn't. There are no participation trophies, right? The bridges in Houston are full of people that participated. They live under them.
That is true. No, guys, and you're 100% right. I mean, it's. I think it should be a goal for anybody, and it's.
But how do you massage that message that Larry just threw out there with today's up and coming car group market, or not market, but town of people that are going to want to come into this business?
Well,
how do you get that across? If you come out with, like Larry just said, that might turn these kids off. So I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's a balance, right? But you're right. At the end of the day, that is what it's about.
Look, it's about did you eat or not? Because if you're a commission salesperson, you either eat or you don't.
Yep.
Well, and I think we need to understand transparency for me is more perception than reality, right? Like I mean, like if.
Transparency
I can be completely transparent, but they may not perceive the execution of my transparency as being transparent.
So I think so it's transparency.
That could be a perception. It could be your view of transparency, your perception of transparency.
Transparency is also being disguised as truth.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
I'm transparent.
I was transparent about the lie I told you. I told you it was going to be a lie.
Because people think that buying a car is a lying experience, right? But if I'm
many
transparent,
times, yeah,
and it's not. It's a relationship. It's someone listening to your needs. It's right, understanding your ability to buy if you can or can't. Counsel and qualify. Again, those 5 steps.
I love that you bringing that up because it's literally was going to be my next question for you guys is how can we kind of, let's say, more personalize this? I see too many experiences or buying experiences or sales experiences going on that are just not personalized in any way or form. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the fact during COVID we were like. We have a generation of clerks now. I think, honestly, and I'm going to get some people upset, but I do believe that we have a generation of clerks right now living in dealerships.
Huge generation of clerks.
And this was like, how do we get back to personalizing this?
You have to have curiosity.
Can I ask questions?
Right, ask questions. Ask questions. How can I help you? Well, not right away, right? Not right away.
You don't want to greet that way.
No, you don't want to greet that way. But eventually, that's what you're trying to elicit from the customers. what is the need?
What are you going to be using this vehicle
for?
for?
Solve for?
Are you, what are you going to be using? Well, I'm towing a horse trailer. Okay, great. What is this, a fifth wheel, or is this is this a 2-man, 5-man, 2 horse, 5 horse? How big is this horse trailer? Asking the questions about how they're going to use the vehicle, being that trusted advisor on whether or not this is the right vehicle or something you might not have thought of. These are all things that can't. That's that little one. Now, let's say 9 out of 10 are going to know what they need, know what they want, and
I don't even think it's that high. No way.
It might not be, but let's just say if it is, right?
I think it's like
but
80% of people come in for a car don't leave with the car they came in
70%, yeah. They didn't look at the one they looked at online, right?
Yeah.
That's a stat that's been that way since 2000, right? That's not changed much at all. At the end of the day, they met a salesperson. They don't look at the one they bought online, but they do look at one similar, right? Or they do have a similar needs. This is a vehicle that's going to bring me back and forth to work. This is a vehicle that's going to I'm just putting around town with it. I'm towing a trailer. What are you trying to do? What's this vehicle going to what problem is this vehicle going to solve for you?
Right.
And then how can I help you, direct you to get to the right way to have that vehicle solve that problem? But at the same time, I got to like, know, and trust you in order to do it. And transparency is I like, know, and trust you.
Well, and
that's transparency.
I think it's that advising. Like if we properly execute advising someone, then that opens us the door to be transparent and the perception of the transparency to be truthful.
Right.
Right. I don't see a lot of advising going on. I mean, it's like
no, because they assume you know what you
right,
need
exactly.
more. You know more than I do.
Last time I bought this truck, man, literally the first question of the guy was, "Which stock number was it?" I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm asking you. Like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, I'm looking for something that's all-wheel drive, white. I need leather. Well, which trim level did you want? I don't know. You're the professional here. Like,
so,
what the hell?
The questions there should be, well, okay, what are you, Mr. Harris? What are you going to do?
Exactly.
Wait, what's this truck doing for you? What are you planning to do with this truck? Are you in for this truck for comfort? Because many are. I mean, hell, I've seen some really badass 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks that are very comfortable inside and got all the Now my granddad would have looked at that and said, "How the hell do you wash that thing with a hose, man?" He'd have been like, "Dude, you got all this crap in the way."
I think we've also forgotten the fact that the whole world just experienced 2 black swan events.
Yes.
Right? 2 at the same time, which is even more unbelievable. But no chips for cars.
Yep.
And a pandemic that shut everybody inside.
Because of the no chips.
Because of the no chips.
Right.
And that went on for 3 years. And once you do something long enough, it becomes a habit. And so the habit that was picked up by your sales folks was one, I'm a clerk. I'm not a salesperson.
I'm just here to help them finish the paperwork
and
to buy the car.
I'm
right.
I'm punching the clock.
Right. And by the way, I expect to get a huge commission off of a 5-pound deal when I do that.
Or they don't even expect a commission because they're paid hourly because of the value that was put on that job by the person that owns that store.
Exactly.
Everything starts at the top and rolls down.
Well, it is. We are going in that direction. That's I've seen a lot of this conversation. We really does start with the people, right? We actually kind of made this comment when we were not recording. We were over there just kind of chit-chatting, right? It's like, for how long has this industry described themselves as a people business?
Even now. When you're not.
But I got to be honest with you. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some amazing operators out there. You're probably watching and listening right now. You do invest in your people. But I'm going to say the general population, maybe this is a little tough love we're throwing at, the auto industry, but I do not see enough people investing in those people to execute any type of experience that we're talking about.
Consolidation makes that also challenging, right? Because it used to... The days gone by where a guy had 1 or 2 stores, right? And that he was the guy that ran them and he had the time to do it, execute. He had the GMs there and he met, blah, blah, blah. Now when you got 34, 50 stores under your belt, that's a different ballgame, man. It's
hard to find people to run that.
Right. And not only, so then you've got the owner that has to look at 50 reports. No,
well, and I think
that's impossible to do. So he's got to create a layer of management
Yes.
that gets him further and further away from the floor.
Well, does he, or is this where this? So, like I said, we start with the people, but then we start leaning into a process.
Yep.
Right. But then I need a piece of technology that's going to help me execute and measure the effectiveness of that process. I see, and I love what you're describing because I think that's kind of what we've always done in the past. We're like, hey, let's throw another body at it, But like today, we don't have to necessarily do that as long as we're willing to actually document the playbook, and then help us to find a tool that's going to. So if I got 40
no.
stores,
Here's what you're going to get from the tools. Oh no, this is a very flexible tool. It's there to do whatever you want it to do, which basically means it does nothing. I mean that's so silly. It's smoke and mirror, but I mean
Vaporware.
Every dealer is different. No, they're not.
No.
Every dealer meets and greets.
Yep.
I don't care. You all meet and greet. We all do. Every dealer establishes a rapport.
That's why
every
they call them
dealer shows
franchises.
selects a vehicle.
No, there's that minimum expectation, but now I'm talking about because we're talking about a stellar customer experience, right? We're not just talking about just like, hey, let me do the first 5 steps that everybody needs to do. What are those additional processes that I need to put in place
takes
to make it a unique experience?
Isn't that what you said earlier, Larry?
Well,
if you want to be good, you got to do this.
If you want to be excellent or elite, you're going to do what it takes, not what I can do. What does it take to do it?
Yeah.
So then, how do we process that, and how do we measure that?
If you're going to, I'm going to process it. If it's me, I'm going to process it like this. Look, I'm going to show you how I expect you to meet and greet customers at my store, and this is going to transpire or transcend down from my advertising to my marketing to my floor, right? And this is how I expect you to do it, and we're going to continue to role play that until you've got that down. I'll tell you what are the best meet and greets. I'm going to give you the best meet and greet. If you're watching this podcast, and believe I wish I came up with it. I wish I did, but I didn't. This is not mine. But the best meet and greet I've ever seen is, hi, welcome to ABC Motors. I'm Larry Bruce, and you are? Great to meet you. Is this welcome back, welcome in, or welcome back? Told you one of two things. You're either new to the store or you've been here and you've bought before.
And you just twisted the person you just said that to, right? You got them.
Yeah. Is this welcome in or welcome back? And now there's a question they have to answer. Lori Blackson with Ride Now is the one who gave me, thank you, Lori, that greeting. And it's the best in 50 years of being in more car dealerships than I can count, is the best meet and greet I've ever run into, because it gets everything done right up front, and I know exactly what I need to do from there, exactly how I need to take. If you're a new vehicle, are you a new customer?
You know how to advise them.
Yes, I know exactly how to advise them straight away. Is this welcome in or welcome back?
I think, unfortunately, though, for a lot of the dealerships out there, a meet and greet like that would just wouldn't actually.
Well, you got to teach them what to do next.
You actually have to teach them to be advisors,
right?
Like we actually do have to teach these people to go be pros. We're not going to be able to execute a stellar customer experience if the people are not up to par to be able to execute that.
Agreed. I mean, you also have to enjoy. You have to. The talent that you're going to bring in, you have to be a good talent scout, right?
I agree.
And that usually is where it begins. You played football, right? You were a walk-on. You made the team, but they didn't give you the scholarship to begin with.
Hell no. They never gave me the scholarship.
So you had the desire, right? You had the desire.
Desire wasn't enough.
Well, it wasn't enough.
Not for that deal.
But the desire of how that desire that you had generated the energy that propels you for the rest of your career, right?
100%.
Whatever you do, right?
Yeah, for that passion.
And how do you self-motivate? How do you self-motivate? Really is what it gets down to be.
Well, that's the manager's job. That's a sales manager. But what the problem is there are no more sales managers. They're all desk men.
That's right.
I will find
the
the
clerks
guy.
and desk men out there right now. No,
I will
I'm
find the guy that came
you.
up with that term, desk man. I will drive a railroad spike through that dude's head.
But I do believe there's truth to that because they
turned them into desk men when you said it.
I call them desk warriors, right? They're just like this is their desk. They're never leaving it, and I'm be damned if I have
cannot
to
pull me off of here. I am
Yes.
chained to this chair.
I am chained to this bloody
Well,
chair.
you said it when you started. I'm a control guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the control tower, right?
That's the control tower, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, you're a sales manager, and you're not even a sales manager. You're a sales coach.
Yeah, exactly.
That is what you are. This is the car business, and particularly for sales, is the number one business in anywhere for what I call OJC, on the job coaching, and that's what you should be doing. Because no one's going to, everybody, I've seen people, I don't know, there probably is some dealer out there who's executing a 2-week training program. Not many. I'm sure there are some that are doing it. I don't know about 2 weeks. I don't think 2 weeks is going to prepare you for the floor. Just get out there and get amongst them.
That's just going to get the processes.
Yeah, because reality is that there's two things that are going to happen over the next several years, right? One, we're going to get into this on-the-job coaching deal, and two, you're going to have a floor manager. Because you got the desk guy, and you're going to have a floor manager. The floor manager's job, he's the OJC. Right? He's the guy that's going to help the sales staff with the ups because they're not going to be ready to do it day one. But the only way you can ever understand it is to get out there and do it. You cannot be trained this.
I have seen this role start to pop up. Now they've changed the name, and I am kind of down for it. Okay. Right? It's not necessarily a floor manager. It is more of like a director of customer experience. Meaning what they're doing is it's really, look, we're falling into the same category.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're walking the floor, they're keeping their eyeballs out, all right, to ensure that whatever defined experience that the dealership has created, all right, is being executed on the floor consistently.
Right. But that goes back to the guys that are going to tell you they want to be 100% TO store.
Yeah.
And every dealer wants to. And then when I ask them, and I love asking this question, this is my favorite question to ask any dealer. Okay, great. You want to be 100% TO store. That sounds awesome. What do you think the hardest thing about getting a TO is?
The sales guy doing it.
Asking for it.
Right. But why does the sales guy not want to do it?
Because he didn't counsel and qualify, and he burnt up.
That's not it. That's not it, but close. I mean, the fact of the matter is that some guys will say, well, they can't find a manager, blah, blah, blah. The real problem is, do you know how awkward it is for me as a salesperson to look at you and say, could you hold on 1 minute while I go get my manager?
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, that is an awkward thing to say. Then if you actually leave them to go do it, don't expect them to be there when you get back.
Again,
they're not going to be there. And then you're coming lockstep in arm with the velvet hammer. They're not. No customer sees that experience as good.
No,
not at all. So you want to talk about the technology? This is the greatest thing I think I ever came up with in any technology I built. Was the silent TO button on the phone? Every manager gets to know.
Yep.
Who needs a TO? And now you can come over and say, and do exactly what you said. Hey. Great, Mr. Mudd, so great to meet you. I see you're looking at. I see what you're looking at, and you can introduce yourself, or as Ziegler would call it, interject yourself into the situation. No one wants the manager to be coming back with a salesperson, but coming in, hey, is Rob taking really good care of you? Because if he's not, I'll fire him right now. I mean, 100%.
That goes back to that start and stop that we're talking about, right? Like we know that in the industry or out in any vertical out there, a good experience is one that is linear as much as possible, and it doesn't have these awkward start and stops. Like, hey, hold on 1 second while I go get someone who's supposedly better at me at closing something to try to close you today. Okay, guys, now we're going to go towards the tail end of our time, but I did have one other question because I think this is also important too, is how we measure a stellar customer experience. I could probably do a whole podcast just on this because I got all kinds of. I might get on my soapbox a little bit and how the OEM looks at it. But how should we be measuring customer satisfaction, and how should we be acting on that feedback? I'd like to get your guys' thoughts.
Rob, I'll let you go first.
Well, I guess one way to know would be if you sold the car and they come back for service, that would be a satisfied customer.
Well,
There's
I agree.
one way.
Yeah, well, I can buy that. I can just give you a free oil change, and I've got you back. So
you see that happen now.
Then you have an opportunity once you get them in the service drive to upsell them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. No, it's not a bad thing. But it doesn't lean into your customer experience.
Still doesn't tell us that
you had a good customer experience. And if you want to,
if a good customer's experience is someone that comes back.
Well,
if
voluntarily for sure.
That's what I mean.
Voluntarily for sure.
Come back.
Right.
And so most people, 50%, you said earlier, of the service business,
it never buys from you.
They never bought from you.
Right.
So,
that's a matter of convenience.
Correct.
They came to buy from you from a long ways away, but they have no intention of servicing you. They're too far off. You're not convenient for service, and you got to be convenient for service
because that's the lifeblood of your dealership.
Right, 100%. But the way I would measure, the way I have measured customer experience, it's going well, is did you buy again?
Oh, right, of course.
Well, I mean,
But
forget the
before
service
that,
part.
though,
Right?
is
all the
that's once
service
every
stuff.
6 years.
Right. They're not necessarily. It used to be once every 2.5 years, right?
Because they did a lot of leasing.
We did a lot. Well, we should be doing a lot more leasing,
be.
right? But I mean, we used to be one every 2.5 years. Now we're stretching it out to 6 years because the loans are going out 6 years, right? And also now because we've piled on so much during COVID, we've now stretched our customers out. We won't see them again. Some of these guys, some of these customers, they'll have equity in that vehicle 6 months after they pay it off.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's insane.
Yes.
I mean, my ex-wife called me and she says, "I want a G-Wagon. This is in 2021. I
you
want
love
a
those
G-Wagon, right?" And I'm going, okay. So I call my buddy Randy, who's down at the BMW store, and I say, "Hey man, I need a G-Wagon. Can you?" He works for Group One. So find me a G-Wagon. He said, "Yeah, I can find you a G-Wagon. We got one in Beverly Hills. It's $100,000 over MSRP. Do you want it?" Like, you could keep that thing. Matter of fact, you can keep 3 of them. I don't care.
That's the difference between want and need.
That's not. Not only do you not want, need. I don't care. I'm not paying $100,000 over sticker for nothing. Ever.
But there were people that did.
There were people that did, and so I had to tell my ex, it's not happening right now. At the end of the day.
So to your point, I mean, does that if buy another vehicle from me may not be the key indicator then that is
well, but you could. Are you having conversations to even ask?
Okay, so yeah, I know where you're going with this. So I'm going to kick this even a little more. I'm going to go OG on this one. Okay. All right. And it's funny because I'm not just going to go OG, but this is actually how other verticals look at it. All right. And other verticals out there, they look at what's called a net promoter score.
Yeah, I've heard.
Okay. Now, let me translate what net promoter score is into the automotive industry is, did I get a referral?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how you know you executed an amazing customer experience. All right. Because that person had such a great experience that they're willing to give up a friend or family member's contact information because they want those people that other person to go through that exact same experience. And I truly believe that is another art, which we've talked about many different art things that forms that have lost in our industry. Who does this anymore?
So, do you guys remember a guy named Ernie von Schledorn out of Wisconsin?
No, I don't.
German guy in business for a long time, and his tagline was, "Who do you know that wants to buy a Buick?"
Yeah, right.
That was it.
Yeah.
And then you ask anybody in Milwaukee or Wisconsin, because he had a lot of stores, that they'll come. Most likely, if they're old enough, they'll say Ernie von Schledorn. That was his tag, and everyone knew it. I experienced Ernie many times over my career, and he was a unique individual for sure.
Did you ever buy a Buick from him?
No, I tried to get him to buy something for me.
All right.
And he did a couple times. But anyway, I thought that was a great tagline.
Yeah.
Who do you know that wants to buy a Buick?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the
Then it got to be no one.
Yeah, then here's the problem, okay? So how do you ask for a referral?
Right.
I mean, what was your word track?
Well, if you got rapport.
Yeah, but what was the word track? I mean, realistically, salespeople are not lazy. They just don't know how.
So to be able to effectively ask for a referral, all right, you have to have rapport with them, because now what it is now you're having a human-to-human conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And
You're
it's like
asking
this has
that
nothing to do
customer
with the
to turn over their
transaction.
friend to
That's
you.
right. This has nothing to do with the transaction. This is literally a human-to-human conversation.
I'm looking for a favor.
All right, is that I'm looking for a favor, man. Hey, my month's been a little slow. I'm trying to hit my target. All right, do you have any friends or family member that are currently maybe looking or thinking, considering, another vehicle? I would love to give them the same level of attention and time that I've given you. Have I earned that right? You know what I mean? And look, but you have to really execute that experience to be able to get to that place where you can have that human-to-human conversation with someone.
Yeah, I mean, but you had to have done that realistically to even sell the car for the most part. Sure, there are times when you've done it and the customers walked out and they're pissed, but they're still in the car.
Yeah.
Right? It's happened to all of us. But, my word track was simple. look, Jason, I work by repeat and referral business only.
100%.
And I would really appreciate it if you knew somebody that was in the market to buy a car, or even just somebody that you want to have your experience, the same experience, or the same taken care of that I've done for you. Do you know anybody like that I can help? And I said it over and over and over again, to the point where I was I would when I finally left sales in 1989 from Ron Kraft Chevrolet, mostly because Ron wouldn't let me go and further my career because I was too valuable on the floor. Right? and so you lost all of it. Smart. I was selling 20, 25 cars a month. And it's hard to sell 20 to 25 cars a month, keep up with all your customers. You're not working 4-hour days. You're not working 4 days a week. You're working 7 days a week, and you're putting in 9-10 hours a day every freaking day. I was making really good money, but I'm putting that time in. You got to value the money and the time.
100%.
But that's a big part of what got me there, was that I had these word tracks, and I was taught these word tracks by guys in the 50s.
Right.
My entire car training was a 6-set tape. No, 8-set tape. Sorry, 8 tapes. 8 tapes.
I remember these
cassette tapes
Right.
from Clint McGee.
Yeah.
I will find those. Somebody, hey, if you're out there watching, if you still have your Go tapes, I will buy them from you.
I think that'd be awesome. I think that
those
might be an
tapes.
episode that we might have to just do just on those tapes, because I think it'd actually be a lot of fun. Look, guys, I know we're at the tail end of our conversation, and I'm 100% with you guys on that. It's like, that's how you know you effectively executed, a stellar customer experience, is because someone is willing, and not only willing, they want to actually. Like, they actually have the desire.
I've got a car guy you need to know.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's funny, and that's another thing that is kind of faded away. It's like, I remember when my dad was buying cars. Right, he had a person that he went to, right? Like, and it didn't matter where that person was. It didn't matter what the dealership. It didn't even matter what kind of car it was. They were going to go back to that person. And I think we need to kind of get back to that place. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening, we are so thankful that you guys have taken the time to join us. One of the
100%.
biggest compliments you can give any one of us up here is to share the show.
Yes.
All right. If you guys have a friend, a colleague, or manager, or an owner that needs to listen to some part of this conversation, it is a huge compliment when you guys share the show. If you guys like to check out additional content,
Jason just asked for a referral.
there you go. That's literally what I just did.
Yes.
Look at that. I didn't even think about it, but that's just what I did. I asked you guys for a referral. Now go refer me. And Larry, where can they refer that person to?
They can refer them to thedealercast.com. And there you will find all the episodes. You can subscribe through your favorite podcast, whatever device you're using, and you can ask us questions. Please ask us questions if you have them. Questions at thedealercast.com. It's going to be right there on the website. You want to read a little bit about us, get in touch with either one of us, you can get in touch right through there. You want to look at the old cars we all like, the ones we identify with, you'll see them there. It's a fun website. Hopefully it answers your questions, gets you what you need. If it's not getting you what you need, tell us.
Yeah.
Reality, the easiest way to find out what your customers want, just ask them.
That's true. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening, we really appreciate you. You guys have an amazing day.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast with your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.